What's up guys, welcome back to another video. In this video I'll be talking about voting systems. So there are many different kinds of voting systems with varying levels of complexity, and I'll be going through a bunch of them today. Okay, so a little note before we start, I'll only be doing single winner voting systems, because there are much better multi-winner voting systems out there, but for the sake of simplicity we're just going to do single winner ones. So let's start with the one you've probably all heard of, or at least you know what it is, you just might not know the name. Its official name is Plurality Voting, but it's more commonly known as First Past the Post, or Fptp. In First Past the Post, whoever gets the most votes, or the plurality, wins. This may seem like it makes sense, but if you think about it for more than 2 seconds, it starts to break down. Say there are 4 candidates running, red, orange, green, and blue. Let's say that red gets 32% of the vote, orange gets 15%, green gets 35%, and blue gets 18%. And First Past the Post, green would win, even though nearly 2/3 of the population didn't want them. This is one of the major flaws of this voting system, but we're just getting started. The First Past the Post system, it always trends towards a two-party election because of something called the spoiler effect. Let's say next election orange drops out. Orange voters would have wanted to vote for red since they're closer on the color spectrum. After the votes are counted, red gets 47%, green gets 35%, and blue gets 18%, and red wins. But if you think about it, red is way over here, and green and blue are closer together. If only blue voters had backed the more popular candidate that was closer to their views, green would have won. Blue then does that in the next election, and in all further elections. This creates a two-party system where most of the population is mostly unhappy with the result. This is called the spoiler effect, and this makes it impossible for small parties to win a first-past-the-post election. Now you may be thinking, this is horrible, why would anyone use this? Well, you may be surprised that the United States actually uses it. Well, a version of it. The US uses something called the Electoral College, which is basically just first past the post, but more complicated. Basically, citizens vote in each state, and whichever candidate wins the most states win. Well, kind of. Each state has a number of votes proportional to the population plus 2. In each state, whichever candidate gets the plurality wins the whole state and all of its votes, in most cases. Then, whichever candidate gets the most votes from the states win. In reality, it's a bit more complicated than that, but I'm just getting started with voting systems. You might already be able to see that this is flawed. It suffers from all of the downsides of first past the post plus more. Because of the +2 rule, the less populous states have way more influence in the election. This means that approximately every 700,000 people in California equals 1 vote, and every 200,000 people in Wyoming equals 1 vote. Obviously, something's wrong here. So, let's look at alternate voting systems. The first one we'll talk about is called instant runoff voting, or alternative vote. In instant runoff, instead of selecting one candidate on the ballot, you rank all the candidates. So let's take our first scenario again. Red gets 32, orange gets 15, green gets 35, blue gets 18. If no one gets a majority, the person with the least votes, orange, is eliminated. Then, all of orange voters' second preference are combined with the original voters for that candidate. So orange voters would have voted for red, so the new total is red with 47%, green with 35%, and blue with 18%. There's still no majority, so the next candidate with the least amount of votes is removed. Blue would have still voted for green, so the results are now red with 47%, green with 35%. That means that green has the majority and wins the election. So, instant runoff voting makes it way easier for less popular candidates to get elected because there's no risk in supporting a smaller candidate. Some countries actually use this, like Australia, the Czech Republic, and India. There are some downsides, though. It suffers from some of the same downsides as first past the post. Like, it still technically trends towards a two-party system, although it is easier to reverse this effect. Another downside is complexity. No matter what voting system it is, it works better if everybody votes, and it would be harder to get everybody to vote by making them more complicated. Another voting system is called second ballot, aka runoff voting. Let's take the same scenario from before. In the first round, voters only select one candidate. If there's no majority, the 2 most popular candidates are selected and put on another ballot. In this case, just red and green are put on the second ballot, resulting in a green win of 53%. There are many variations of this system, including exhaustive ballot, where you remove one candidate per ballot until someone gets a majority. It's also similar to instant runoff voting, but the rounds are combined there, which is why it's sometimes just called runoff. There are obvious downsides to this, like the fact that you have to go to a polling place twice, or even more than that if you're using an exhaustive ballot, but its biggest problem is probably tactical voting. Unlike in instant runoff voting, they count the votes before the second round happens. This can influence how people vote greatly, and of course this means that it suffers from the spoiler effect. Now, you may be wondering if there are any options for good, fair voting systems, and the answer is a bit complicated. There are a lot of different opinions on what even is fair, so it would be impossible to please everybody. In reality, the best voting systems are the ones where there can be multiple winners, so you're not trying to squeeze everybody's views and opinions about every topic ever into one candidate. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and who knows, I might do a video about multi-winner voting systems if I get, say, 30 likes. Also, for the first time ever, more people who watched my last video weren't subscribed than people who were subscribed. So, if you're one of those people, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and like, and comment, and do all that stuff. Oh, and I also recently set up my Discord server, so join that. Yes, do that. And, yeah, for everyone else, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!